She's still just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new spin of complaints here. Here's one from her most recent episode, which still on YouTube, she's got like 200,000 subscribers. It's really amazing that now she's been doing this for how many episodes? She's been literally on every podcast of the left wing promoting it. And that's still all she's managed to get. Here she is interviewing.
I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. This was never meant to...
Could one of the most beloved public figures in the world be at the center of a 5-alarm public relations catastrophe? Deliberately ignited on live television. 1 minute, Michelle Obama was radiating the untouchable aura of a modern-day queen, a symbol of grace and poise. The next, she was blindsided by a verbal onslaught from Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk, who unleashed a torrent of rhetorical attacks and constitutional questions that shattered the serene image. The internet is reeling not just from what was said, but from the sheer audacity of the ambush. You are about to witness a breakdown of how savage jabs about her legacy and cringe-inducing facts were deployed in what can only be described as an Olympic-level roasting session designed to dismantle a carefully constructed icon piece by piece. What they exposed is a story far more complex than you've been led to believe.
She went on a podcast called Diary of a CEO. It's kind of rings a bell like a founder kind of situation. And once again, wants you to know how awful it is to be married with children.
There are just many natural reasons why marriage, infertility, trying to have kids makes things difficult. It's like I try to tell couples, of course it's hard. Just listen to what I said, right? Like, it's probably, if you're having some issues in your marriage, it's not you, it's the process of marriage.
Michelle Obama says, until recently, I've mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings. Is that a pit in my stomach? A palpable sense of dread about the future? Now, look, Michelle Obama has well-documented anxiety problems. And it's very interesting. When they are not in control of political power, they get anxiety.
Michelle Obama famously coined the phrase, "When they go low, we go high," a motto that became a cultural touchstone for dignity in the face of adversity. Yet, it seems that mantra was conveniently set aside the moment she chose to launch a full-scale media invasion. It wasn't just a podcast or another book. It was a calculated blitzkrieg of self-promotion, plastering her face across every conceivable platform as if the world was a giant narcissism aisle on Black Friday. The timing and intensity of this media saturation feel less like a private citizen sharing her light and more like a meticulously orchestrated audition for the highest office in the land, a soft campaign she's been running since 2017 while pretending her only ambition is to perfect her Pilates routine.
I mean, this audience knows she never says anything positive. It is all complaints. So she goes on another podcast. She's promoting her show, so she's making the rounds. The Diary of a CEO podcast, and actually found a way to bitch and moan about how hard it is to live in the White House.
When you walk through a store.
And through it all, the unspoken command to her followers remains the same. Keep your head held high. This isn't just an inspirational quote. It's a strategic tool, a shield of perceived dignity designed to deflect any and all criticism. It is a phrase that paints any legitimate questioning of her motives or actions as inherently low, allowing her to float above the grubby world of political accountability. This mantra has become the cornerstone of her brand, a way to maintain an image of being above the fray while simultaneously orchestrating a highly political and ambitious public life. It's a brilliant, if not deeply cynical, way to silence dissent by framing it as a moral failing.
Michelle Obama, listen to this.
And at this phase of my life, I'm in therapy right now because I'm transitioning. You know, I'm 60 years old. I finished a really hard thing in my life with my family intact. I'm an empty nester. My girls are in, you know, they've been launched. And now for the first time, as I've said before, every choice that I'm making is completely mine. I now don't have the excuse of, well, my kids need this or my husband needs that or the country needs that. So how do I think about this next phase?
Once again, speaking a reference to her time as First Lady negatively, and I'm transitioning. I mean, an interesting choice of words, given how the internet refers to her.
Meanwhile, larking in the boisterous corners of the digital world, Megyn Kelly was meticulously sharpening her blade of sarcasm, preparing for a confrontation she seemed to have anticipated for years. Alongside her was Charlie Kirk, a figure who often appears like a stock photo image titled man confused by politics, yet speaks with the unwavering conviction of someone who has mainlined the entire PragerU video library. Together, they represent a formidable pincer movement. Kelly, the seasoned media insider who knows how the sausage of public image is made, and Kirk, the populist firebrand who channels the raw, unfiltered frustrations of a significant portion of the electorate. They weren't just offering commentary, they were preparing to prosecute a case against a cultural icon.
And it's very interesting. When they are not in control of political power, they get anxiety. And being at the DNC, this for them is church. For them, this was a religious experience.
Till recently, I have mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings, that deep pit in my stomach, a palpable sense of dread about the future.
It's so dark. And now she's saying, now I have hope because of Kamala Harris. The apocalyptic undertones of the Democrat Party is dramatic.
The official narrative, of course, is that Michelle Obama is not, under any circumstances, running for president. She is not, allegedly, engaging in any form of political campaigning. She just so happens to be embarking on stadium tours that rival rock concerts, securing massive documentary deals, launching Netflix specials, and releasing books with titles like The Light We Carry. The sheer lack of subtlety is breathtaking. It is a public performance that suggests subtlety itself has been declared dead and buried under a mountain of ghost-ridden memoirs. She carries herself with the triumphant air of a queen returning from a brief exile, all while insisting she is just a regular, private citizen. And if you believe that, you probably also believe Beyonce is just a humble local singer from Houston.
Listen to her talking about her 8 years in the White House. SOT 27.
So I'm at this stage in life where I have to define my life on my terms for the first time. So what are those terms? And going to therapy just to work all that out. Like, what happened that 8 years that we were in the White House? What did that do to me?
Yes.
Internally, my soul, we made it through. We got out alive. I hope we made the country proud. My girls, thank God, are whole. But what happened to me?
Oh my God. The utter privilege and how out of touch this person is.
Megyn Kelly, wasting absolutely no time, launched her offensive with the ferocity of someone who has been patiently waiting for the smallest crack to appear in the Teflon armor of Saint Michelle. And frankly, finding a vulnerability wasn't difficult when you consider the Obama legacy includes 8 years of attempting to convince the nation that arugula, grimly reformed school lunches, and awkward, spontaneous dance parties were somehow the fundamental pillars of national security. Kelly masterfully resurrected the collective trauma of the quinoa-like Michelle allegedly imposed on school cafeterias, a time when pizza Fridays were tragically replaced by kale-induced misery. For millions of parents and kids, childhood didn't just change, it felt like it ended with the thud of a government-mandated celery stick.
One side note on Michelle Obama, can we just note how overrated she is? And like all the hype around Michelle Obama, oh, she's going to run for office. And she's just, I don't want to get into the aesthetics of all of it, but the presentation of her
Charlie Kirk, a man constitutionally incapable of letting a spotlight shine on anyone else for too long, immediately jumped in with a brand of analysis that makes you suspect he cultivates his hot takes in a secret laboratory. In his view, Michelle Obama's entire public existence is a meticulously designed psychological operation, a grand strategy intended to prepare the American consciousness for the second coming of an Obama dynasty. He appears genuinely convinced that every cardigan she dons is a coded message, every feel-good speech is a soft launch for a new policy platform, and every podcast episode is a carefully calibrated test balloon for a full-scale political resurrection. The entire performance, he argues, is a prelude to power. And here's the unsettling part. When you strip away the hyperbole, you realize he might actually be onto something. When a public figure vehemently denies any interest in political power while simultaneously dominating every single media platform with the relentless energy of a social media influencer on a Red Bull bender, a healthy dose of suspicion is not just warranted, it's necessary. The contradiction is too vast to ignore, and it points to a far more calculated game being played behind the scenes than her serene public persona would ever let on. But Michelle's greatest trick was yet to be unveiled.
Two of them together, I haven't even counted her husband's riches. They're definitely billionaires by now. The house in Martha's Vineyard, which is, I think, $20 million out on the yachts of David. What happened to me? Why doesn't anyone think about what happened to me during my... I'm enraged. I'm almost speechless at how ridiculous.
Her true genius lies in convincing half the country that she is far too dignified and pure for the dirty game of politics, while simultaneously playing that game with more skill and ruthlessness than most seasoned politicians. She preaches a gospel of unity and togetherness, all while subtly roasting her political opponents with the sweet, passive-aggressive grace of a Sunday sermon delivered via a group text from your ex. She isn't just selling inspiration, she's upselling it, packaging it, and releasing it in 4 different formats complete with an accompanying Hulu deal. At this rate, we should fully expect a Michelle Obama signature candle line by next year, likely called something like Hope and Eucalyptus, because if there's one effing thing she knows how to do, it's monetize a feeling. The mainstream media, in turn, consumes every bit of it with ravenous enthusiasm. Each time Michelle Obama even breathes in the vicinity of a microphone, it feels like 1,000 journalists collectively faint, transported back to the heady days of 2008. Her trips to Target are covered with the gravity and reverence typically reserved for United Nations peace missions. Compare this to the treatment of Melania Trump, where a public appearance in sunglasses could spark frenzied speculation that she was either plotting a government coup or establishing contact with an alien civilization. Megyn Kelly, however, refuses to buy into this manufactured narrative. To her, Michelle Obama is just another media-created monolith, meticulously carved from polished talking points, strategic nostalgia, and a public that is addicted to the applause that comes with political proximity.
On a great subject, which is like these rich and powerful people who are totally unaware of how people perceive them and how great their lives are and how little they should be complaining, period, never mind publicly. Which leads me to Michelle Obama. Every day she's dropped another negativity bomb on us, whether on her podcast or on someone else's.
Charlie Kirk, ever the political bloodhound sniffing for a hidden trail, insists that Michelle is playing a game of 5D chess while the rest of the political world is haplessly stuck on Candy Land. He posits that her entire lifestyle brand is nothing more than an elaborate disguise for a 2028 presidential run, a campaign being waged through culture rather than caucuses. And while this might sound like the stuff of conspiracy forums, we must remember that we live in a country that elected a reality TV star to the presidency after watching him fire people on national television for over a decade. In that context, stranger things have definitely happened, like that brief, miraculous 5-minute period when Michelle actually made Brussels sprouts seem cool. Her true mastery, however, was in weaponizing wellness, taking the concept of self-care, blending it with a TED talk, adding a few strategically placed tiers for emotional resonance, and building a commercial empire on top of it. Megyn Kelly, however, is having absolutely none of it. She has seen this exact hype train pull into the station before, and she has no intention of purchasing a ticket for the ride. She has taken on the role of the defiant child in the crowd, pointing out that the Empress, for all her splendor, has no actual clothes. Or, in this more modern case, that the former First Lady is backed by a powerful entourage of stylists, speechwriters, and a strategic PR machine that spins faster and more relentlessly than a fidget spinner at a middle school talent show. It's crucial to remember Michelle Obama has published memoirs plural because her journey is apparently so profound it couldn't be contained in a single volume. We can probably expect the sequels soon, asterisk becoming even more asterisk, followed by asterisk becoming forever asterisk, and the grand finale, asterisk becoming the presidency you deserve asterisk.
Whining all the time and she's complaining. Right, again, I'm not trying to look at people's looks. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying the whole aura of it, to use a Gen Z term, is terrible. It's negative. It's just kind of her lamenting. And
this is where Kelly zeroes in on the core hypocrisy, relentlessly pointing out that you simply cannot preach the virtues of humility while accepting speaking fees that soar into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, only to then turn around and complain that American society is too obsessed with celebrity and wealth. The logic is dizzyingly circular. It has the equivalent of devouring an entire chocolate cake by yourself in one sitting and then delivering a stern lecture to everyone else about the societal dangers of consuming too much sugar. The message and the method are in a state of constant, blaring contradiction, yet the hype machine just keeps rolling on. Michelle's core strategy is a masterclass in elegant misdirection. Never say precisely what you mean and never fully mean what you say. Instead, just offer a beatific smile, embrace a small child for the cameras, drop a vague reference to hope, and then vanish in a puff of lavender-scented virtue signaling. And without fail, the crowd goes absolutely wild. This is because if there's one thing the American public adores more than a bona fide celebrity, it's a celebrity who masterfully pretends not to be one. Michelle isn't just America's sweetheart, she's become America's strategic silence, expertly wrapped in a package of high-end shapewear and disarming charisma.
They both have planes, and she's mad that you have to pay the cost of an airline ticket for the daughters to fly on them.
I wonder, I mean, seriously, she's a smart woman.
But she's aggrieved. She is immersed in a powerful and inescapable sense of grievance.
Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, continues to shout from the back of the room like a guy who was unceremoniously kicked out of the prom and is still standing on the lawn, clutching a wilting corsage. He is desperately, almost frantically, trying to convince the country that Michelle Obama is the ultimate Trojan horse of liberal elitism, cleverly smuggling in progressive policies and cultural shifts between the lines of her podcast episodes and book chapters. And while his delivery might be abrasive, his central premise is disturbingly plausible. Michelle has arguably wielded more influence out of office than most politicians do while in it, enjoying the reach of a president without any of the accountability. It is the perfect formula: influence without office, power without responsibility, and endless applause without a single challenging question. But Michelle's true, almost mystical superpower is her ability to say absolutely nothing of substance while making it sound profoundly insightful. She can deliver a 45-minute speech that leaves the audience on their feet, clapping thunderously, without anyone in the room being able to articulate a single concrete idea she actually proposed. She has become the human equivalent of a Hallmark card dipped in a vat of liquid affirmations you walk away feeling vaguely inspired, slightly confused, and definitely poorer if you stopped by the merchandise table on your way out. Megyn Kelly isn't falling for the trick. Having spent decades in the media, she can smell a branding campaign disguised as moral leadership from a mile away, and she recognizes that Michelle is selling empowerment with the same aggressive marketing tactics used to launch a new skincare line.
She's angry. She's angry and unhappy. I've watched enough of her over the years, and then with this ridiculous podcast she's trying to launch, to see she's a deeply unhappy person.
She's obviously, there's problems with her daughters and all that. I don't want to get into that. But we built up on the right. Michelle Obama is going to be the hardest person ever to run against. And
yet, through it all, Michelle Obama steadfastly insists that she is not political, that she is simply being herself. That statement is as believable as claiming that pandas just happen to be cute without any effort. This woman's public persona is so intensely curated and managed that she makes Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle brand look like a humble, do-it-yourself blog. Nothing about her public life is accidental. Every tweet, every tour stop, every seemingly casual half-smile captured at a celebrity's housewarming party is a calculated, deliberate masterstroke of reputation management, while Charlie Kirk is somewhere frantically drawing diagrams on cocktail napkins as if he's mapping out a vast conspiracy board. He seems just one unverified wiki page citation away from accusing her yoga instructor of secretly being a senior campaign strategist. This intense scrutiny exists because the pedestal upon which Michelle Obama has been permanently installed is unlike any other. The media doesn't just report on her, they actively participate in her canonization. When she enters a room, their coverage suggests the clouds have parted and a choir of baby bald eagles has begun to chirp a heavenly chorus. You'd be forgiven for thinking she had single-handedly cured cancer and invented the concept of empathy in a single afternoon, all while casually sipping a matcha latte. Megyn Kelly, who has never been one for clutching pearls unless she was planning to slap someone with them, practically rolls her eyes so hard they risk achieving orbit. She sees straight through the "aw shucks, I'm just a regular person" routine faster than you can say "media darling." Having been a major player in that world, she understands that the Obama brand is far too well-oiled, too perfectly polished, and most importantly, too immensely profitable to be a happy accident. It's a corporate-level operation that functions with ruthless efficiency.
so many copies, and my goodness, you want to talk about the most overrated political hype of a generation? It would go to Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama didn't just stumble into this position of immense cultural power. She PowerPoint presented her way into it, complete with meticulously researched bullet points and perfectly matching heels. The level of analysis dedicated to her is staggering. Even her clothing choices are enough to spark 1,000 think pieces, 1,000,000 tweets, and a dozen podcast episodes. If she dares to wear a sleeveless dress, it's hailed as a feminist revolution. If she chooses to wear a pantsuit, it's interpreted as a powerful TED talk on female ambition. Every single choice is imbued with profound, world-altering significance by a legion of adoring analysts. Meanwhile, if a conservative figure like Megyn Kelly wears white after Labor Day, it is not seen as a statement on modern feminism or a bold political move. It is, at best, a brief, snarky segment on a rival news network questioning her fashion sense. The double standard isn't just glaring, it's a blinding, high-wattage spotlight that selectively illuminates one side of the political spectrum while casting the other in perpetual shadow. This glaring disparity is what fuels the righteous, cold brew-powered frustration of figures like Charlie Kirk. He is practically pacing at this point, desperately trying to articulate that Michelle Obama isn't merely an ex-first lady, she is a stealth candidate operating with a marketing team that would make Apple's top executives weep with envy. Her polite no, thank you to the world of politics is perhaps the most elegant and widely accepted lie ever told in modern public life. And somehow, a vast portion of the nation continues to buy it with the same enthusiasm as buying Girl Scout cookies to support democracy. The undeniable fact is that Michelle Obama will continue to glide effortlessly above the political fray, delivering flawlessly polished lines with immaculate hair and a carefully curated sense of compassion, all while fundamentally shaping the nation's social priorities from the outside. Megyn Kelly, ever the hardened skeptic in high heels, will simply sip her coffee, offer a knowing smirk directly into the camera, and continue to remind her audience of the simple, unvarnished truth behind every inspirational quote, every matching cardigan, and every heartwarming anecdote. There is a powerful and sophisticated political machine wearing a very expensive shade of lip gloss. She sees the game for what it is, not what it pretends to be. Michelle Obama may not be officially running for office, but she is most certainly sprinting laps around the truth as if it were an obstacle course constructed entirely from inspirational Instagram captions. She navigates the political landscape with the agility of an athlete, all while maintaining the serene posture of someone who is just out for a casual stroll. It is a performance of breathtaking skill, and one that has left her critics exasperated and her fans enthralled. Ultimately, when Michelle Obama declares that she has no interest in politics, it lands with the same credibility as Jeff Bezos claiming he is not really into money. The receipts, both literal and figurative, are simply far louder and more convincing than the speeches. So, while she continues to float above it all, pretending she's just here to sprinkle a little bit of hope and hummus on your soul, the rest of us are witnessing what may be the most elegant and deceptive political chess game in modern history, cleverly disguised as a podcast and book tour. Megyn Kelly sees it, Charlie Kirk is screaming about it, and yet Michelle just keeps smiling, selling, and soaring toward 2028 without ever officially saying a word. If branding were a ballot, she would have already been elected president of everything. If you found this breakdown as fascinating as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. What do you think? Is this a masterclass in political branding or just a private citizen sharing her story? Drop your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. We want to hear it all.